picture this. You are standing on a stage. The lights are bright, blindingly so. You think you're moving your own arms. You think you're choosing your own words. But if you look up, just above your head, into the darkness of the rafters, you'll see them. Thin, translucent, shimmering threads attached to your wrists, your ankles, and most dangerously, right into the base of your skull. You are not the actor. You are the puppet. Right now, someone is controlling your life and you don't even realize it. Someone is pulling those strings, dictating your mood, influencing your decisions, and keeping you stuck in patterns that drain your energy and sabotage your success. That someone could be your boss, your partner, your family, or even a total stranger on the internet with a faceless avatar. But here is the brutal truth, and I need you to really hear this. You handed them the scissors. Actually, no, you handed them the handle. If your mood changes based on a text, a look, or a comment, you are not living. You are reacting. You are an emotional slave. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. If you truly don't care what people think about you, if you are completely immune to validation, scroll away right now. 3, 2, 1. You're still here. Good. Because deep down, you know I'm right. You know that you are letting NPCs write your main character code. We call this the glitch. It is a malfunction in your operating system that convinces you that your survival depends on other people's approval. It turns you into a non-player character in your own reality, programmed to walk the same path, say the same lines, and feel the same anxiety every single time the world presses a button. But by the end of this video, we are going to patch that glitch. I am going to show you how to master the superpower of emotional detachment. This is the ability to walk through fire without getting burned. Let's look at the code of this simulation. The first thing you need to understand is that emotional attachment is not love. It is fear. When you are emotionally attached to an outcome or a person's reaction, you are not operating from a place of strength. You are operating from a place of desperate need. You need them to act a certain way for you to feel okay. You need the green bubble to pop up on your phone. You need the like count to hit a certain number. This is not connection. This is codependency. Most people live their entire lives as emotional slaves. They react instead of respond. Think about your morning. You wake up, and what is the first thing you do? You reach for the device. You check the notifications. You are looking for a hit. You are looking for digital permission to feel good about yourself today. If the message is there, you get a hit of dopamine. You feel valid. If the message isn't there, or worse, if the tone is slightly off, your stomach drops. The cortisol spikes. Your entire day is derailed before you've even brushed your teeth. You have just let a piece of glass and silicon dictate your emotional state. This is how you lose your power. It wasn't taken from you in a battle. It was taken from you gradually, through a process of conditioning that taught you to value other people's opinions more than your own. It started when you were a kid. You learned that love was conditional. If you performed well, you got the smile. If you messed up, you got the frown. You learned to become a chameleon, constantly scanning the room, adjusting your behavior to avoid conflict and gain approval. But you are not a child anymore. You are running adult hardware with child software. This is the glitch. Your brain has a part called the amygdala. It's ancient. It's the lizard brain. Its job is to keep you alive. Back in the caveman days, rejection from the tribe meant death. So your brain treats a weird text message or a critical comment from your boss as a life or death threat. It floods your system with stress hormones. It screams at you to fix it, to apologize, to over-explain, to do anything to get back in the good graces of the tribe. But here is the reality check. The tribe isn't real anymore. That stranger on Twitter cannot hurt you. Your boss's bad mood is not a saber-toothed tiger. But because you haven't updated your software, you are reacting to emotional threats as if they are physical dangers. This makes you weak. It makes you predictable. And worst of all, it makes you easy to manipulate. When someone knows exactly what buttons to push to get a reaction from you, they own you. If I know that ignoring you makes you chase me, I control the dynamic. If I know that criticizing you makes you work harder to please me, I control your labor. Emotional attachment makes you a puppet. The most successful people in the world, the ones you look at and think, how do they do it? They have one thing in common. They are emotionally detached from outcomes they cannot control. They don't need permission. They don't need applause. They operate from an internal scorecard. This is what we call the inner citadel. It's the difference between being a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer just reacts to the environment. If it's hot, it goes up. If it's cold, it goes down. A thermostat sets the temperature. It dictates the environment. Right now, you are a thermometer. I want you to become the thermostat. You might think emotional detachment means turning into a robot. You might think it means becoming cold, distant, or uncaring. This is the biggest lie the glitch tells you to keep you trapped. Emotional detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of emotion. It is the ability to feel everything, the anger, the sadness, the joy, but not be controlled by any of it. It's the difference between drowning in the ocean and surfing the wave. When you are detached, you can actually love better. Think about it. When you are desperate for someone's approval, are you really loving them? No, you are using them. You are using them as a drug delivery system for validation. You are constantly monitoring them, analyzing their micro-expressions, reading into their silence. That is suffocating. That is why people pull away. Real love requires freedom. It requires you to be whole on your own so that you are sharing your life, not trying to fill a void in it. So how do we fix the glitch? How do we go from NPC to player one? It requires a fundamental shift in your identity. You need to stop seeing yourself as a reflection of others and start seeing yourself as the source. The first step is developing what psychologists call metacognition. This is a fancy word for thinking about your thinking. It's the ability to step out of the movie and sit in the director's chair. Right now, when you feel an emotion, you say, I am angry. I am sad. You identify with it. You become it. The detached player says, I am experiencing anger. I notice sadness arising. It sounds like a small linguistic trick, but it changes everything. Creates a gap between the stimulus and the response. In that gap, you find your freedom. When you can observe your emotions like a scientist looking at a petri dish, they lose their power to control you. You can say, oh, look at that. My amygdala is freaking out because it thinks this rejection is a tiger. That's cute, but I'm not going to act on it. This leads us to the art of strategic indifference. You need to understand that your energy is a finite currency. You have a limited budget of dams to give every single day. Most of you are spending your emotional budget on things that have zero return on investment. You are bankrupting yourself over celebrity gossip, political arguments with people who will never change their minds, and worrying about what your aunt thinks of your career choices. Strategic indifference means you choose what matters. You put a velvet rope around your attention. If it doesn't directly impact your purpose, your health, or your bank account, it doesn't get past the bouncer. You need to become fiercely protective of your peace. When you stop caring about the things that don't matter, you have infinite energy for the things that do. Let's talk about the specific mechanics of this, because I promised you no fluff. How do you actually apply this when your boss sends that email that says, we need to talk? First, you pause. You freeze the frame. Your body is going to react. Your heart rate will jump. That's biology. You can't stop the bird from landing on your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. You acknowledge the physical sensation. Okay, chest is tight. Hands are sweating. Copy that. Then you separate the fact from the story. The fact is, you received an email requesting a meeting. That is it. That is the only reality. The story you are telling yourself is, I'm getting fired. I messed up the project. They found out I'm a fraud. That story is the glitch. That story is the NPC code running a panic script. Emotional detachment is looking at the fact and ignoring the fiction until you have more data. Next, you adopt the mindset of the player. A player knows that even if the worst-case scenario happens, they will handle it. Fear comes from a lack of trust in yourself. You are afraid of the outcome because you don't trust your ability to navigate it. The detached mindset says, maybe I get fired. Maybe I don't. If I do, I will find a better job. I will survive. I have skills. I am the asset. When you know you can handle the worst case, the fear evaporates. You walk into that meeting calm, collected, and dangerous. And paradoxically, this makes you less likely to fail. Desperation stinks. It's a pheromone that people can smell from a mile away. In dating, in business, in friendship, the person who is willing to walk away holds all the power. This is the law of detachment. When you are willing to lose it, you usually get to keep it. When you grasp at it, it slips through your fingers like sand. You need to rewrite your definition of success. Most people have outcome-based confidence. I am successful if I get the job. I am worthy if she dates me. This is a trap because you do not control the outcome. You can influence it, but you cannot control it. There are too many variables. If you tie your self-worth to variables you cannot control, you are signing up for a lifetime of anxiety. Shift to process-based confidence. I am successful because I prepared for the interview. I am worthy because I was authentic on the date. These are things entirely within your control. When you focus on the process, you become bulletproof. The result becomes just feedback, not a judgment on your soul. I want you to think about the people in your life who drain you. The energy vampires, the drama queens, the victims. You know who they are. You probably feel guilty for even thinking about them right now. You think you owe them your time. You think setting a boundary is mean. That is the glitch talking. You are not an emotional support animal. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken people. Empathy is a beautiful trait, but empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. You need to build emotional armor. This isn't a wall that keeps people out. It's a filter that keeps the poison out. When someone tries to guilt trip you, when they try to pull your strings, you need to use the gray rock method. You become as boring as a rock. You don't argue. You don't defend. You don't explain. You just give them nothing. I understand you feel that way. That's an interesting perspective. You deny them the emotional reaction they are feeding on. Watch how fast they move on to an easier target. It's almost magical. This is about reclaiming your sovereignty. It is about understanding that your internal state is your property. No one gets to squat in your head rent-free. No one gets to graffiti your walls with their insecurity. But be warned, when you start patching the glitch, people will not like it. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. They will try to push the old buttons to see if they still work. This is not a sign that you are doing it wrong. It is a sign that you are doing it right. This is the price of freedom. You have to be willing to be disliked. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. Most people would rather be liked than be free. That is why most people are NPCs. But you are waking up. Imagine walking through your day tomorrow with this armor. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You don't rage. You observe. He's in a hurry. You keep driving. Your partner is grumpy. You don't internalize it. You observe. They are having a bad day. You don't let it ruin yours. You post your work online. Someone leaves a hate comment. You don't spiral. You observe. This person is projecting their own failure. You delete and block. Do you see the power in this? It is the ultimate conservation of energy. You are saving all that fire, all that passion, all that drive for the things that actually move the needle in your life. You are taking the controller back. This is not a one-time fix. It is a daily practice. Every single day, the simulation will test you. It will throw a glitch at you to see if you are still asleep. It will send the text. It will trigger the insecurity. And every single time you have a choice. You can react like a puppet or you can respond like a player. The strings are cut. The stage is yours. The script is blank. Stop letting NPCs write your story. It's time to play the game on your own terms. Welcome to the other side. Let's be brutally honest about how your day started today. You didn't wake up and stretch. You didn't take a deep breath and express gratitude for being alive. No, before your eyes were even fully focused, your hand moved on autopilot. It reached out to the nightstand, grabbed that glowing rectangle, and you jacked yourself directly into the matrix. You started scrolling. You checked texts, Instagram, emails, TikTok. You were looking for something specific, even if you didn't realize it consciously. You were looking for a hit, a little digital pat on the head. This is what I call the morning doom cycle. You are literally gambling with your mental health before you've even brushed your teeth. You're spinning a slot machine hoping for 3 cherries, a nice text, a few likes, a new follower. If you get them, you get a little squirt of dopamine and you feel okay for about 20 minutes. But if you see nothing, or worse, if you see a passive-aggressive email from your boss or a comment from a stranger telling you you're cringe, your stomach drops, your heart rate spikes. The day is ruined before it even began. You have handed the remote control of your emotional state to people who don't even know they're holding it. You need to understand that this isn't just a bad habit. This is the dopamine leash. And right now, it is choked tight around your neck. You are walking through life thinking you are making choices, but you are actually reacting to a chemical dependency that is stronger than willpower. You are seeking validation to feel safe, and when you don't get it, your body treats it like a survival threat. Let's break down why this happens, and I promise to keep the boring science jargon out of this. It's called the amygdala hijack. Your brain has this ancient little almond-shaped alarm system called the amygdala. Its only job is to keep you not dead. It was designed thousands of years ago when humans lived in caves and tribes. Back then, if the tribe rejected you, if they kicked you out of the cave, you didn't just feel sad. You died. You starved, or a saber-toothed tiger ate you. So, your brain evolved to treat social rejection as a life-or-death emergency. Fast forward to 2024. You are sitting in a safe room, drinking an overpriced latte, and someone leaves a nasty comment on your post. Or your partner reads your text but doesn't reply. Logically, you know you are safe. There is no tiger. There is no blizzard. But your amygdala doesn't know that. It is running software from the Stone Age on modern hardware. It sees that red receipt with no reply and it screams, "Danger. We are being abandoned. The tiger is coming." That is why you feel that physical punch in the gut. That is why your palms sweat. That is why you can't focus on your work. Your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline because it thinks you are about to be eaten, all because Dave from accounting used a period instead of an exclamation point in an email. This is the definition of insanity, but it is also the definition of being human in the digital age. You are fighting a biological war against your own instincts, and right now the instincts are winning. This manifests in what we call microanxieties. These are the tiny, invisible paper cuts that bleed your energy dry all day long. It's those 3 little dancing dots on an iPhone screen. You know the ones. You sent a risky text, and you see the bubbles appear. Your heart stops. Then the bubbles disappear. Then they reappear. You are paralyzed. You can't breathe. You are entirely at the mercy of whether the person on the other end decides to hit send or delete. That is a microanxiety, and it is killing your potential. Think about the boss's vague email. You get a notification at 4:55 p.m. on a Friday that just says, "Can we chat Monday?" No context, no emojis, just "Can we chat?" You spend your entire weekend analyzing those 3 words. You play out firing scenarios in the shower. You rehearse your defense while you're trying to watch a movie. You ruin 48 hours of your life over a meeting that turns out to be about ordering lunch for the team. This is not living. This is emotional slavery. And let's talk about the passive-aggressive friend. You know, the one who says, "I'm fine," but slams the cupboard doors. The one whose vibe shifts just enough to make you spiral, wondering what you did wrong. You become a detective of other people's moods. You are constantly scanning the room, reading facial expressions, analyzing tone of voice, trying to predict the weather patterns of everyone else's emotions so you can stay safe. You become a chameleon, changing your colors to fit into whatever room you walk into, suppressing your real personality just to keep the peace. Here is the most important thing I am going to tell you today. If you see yourself in this description, if you feel that tightness in your chest right now because I'm calling you out, listen to me closely. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not crazy. You are biologically hacked. You have been conditioned since childhood to believe that your worth is a transaction. You were taught that if you are good, you get love. If you are bad, you get the cold shoulder. You learn to trade your authenticity for approval. And now, technology has weaponized that conditioning. The apps, the workplace culture, the dating scene, they are all designed to keep you on that dopamine leash, begging for scraps of validation. But here is the good news. Since this is a software problem, we can rewrite the code. You can learn to spot the amygdala hijack the second it starts. You can look at that saber-toothed tiger of a text message and realize it's just a paper cat. You can step off the validation treadmill. The diagnosis is clear. You are addicted to external control, but the cure is already inside you. We are about to cut the strings. We are going to take that remote control back. You aren't going to be a puppet anymore. Let's fix the code. Here is the full script for the section, the shift, metacognition, and the 10-second gap. You need to understand exactly how your brain is tricking you right now. You think your emotions are you. You think that when you feel anger, you are an angry person. You think that when you feel anxiety, you are a nervous wreck. But that is the biggest lie your mind has ever told you. It is the root of every single time you have lost control, sent a text you regretted, or let someone ruin your day. To master emotional detachment, we have to perform a little bit of psychological surgery on your brain. We are going to install a new operating system called metacognition. This is the fancy psychological term for thinking about your thinking. It is the ability to step outside of your own head and watch your emotions happen in real time, just like a scientist watching a chemical reaction in a beaker. Let's look at the biology because the source of your misery is actually prehistoric. Your brain has a part called the amygdala. This little almond-shaped nugget is responsible for detecting threats. It is your fight or flight center. Thousands of years ago, this was useful. If a tiger jumped out of a bush, your amygdala hijacked your brain, flooded you with cortisol and adrenaline, and made you run. You didn't have time to think. You just reacted. But here is the problem with modern life. Your amygdala is stupid, cannot tell the difference between a tiger trying to eat you and a passive-aggressive email from your boss. It cannot distinguish between a life-or-death situation and a friend leaving you on read for 3 hours. When someone criticizes you, your brain reacts as if you are physically being attacked. It screams that your survival is at stake. It demands you do something right now to fix it. This is why you feel that chest-tightening panic or that hot flash of rage. It is biological, but it is also a glitch. The shift happens when you stop being the victim of this biology and start being the observer of it. This starts with the language you use in your own head. Listen to how you talk to yourself. You probably say things like, I am angry, or I am sad, or I am anxious. Pay attention to those words. You are attaching your identity to a temporary feeling. You are telling your brain that this emotion is who you are. That is a prison. The moment you say, I am angry, you have no choice but to act out that anger. You have made it your character description. To detach, we have to change the grammar. Instead of saying, I am angry, you need to shift to saying, I am experiencing anger. Or even better, I notice that anger is present. Sounds like a small tweak, but it changes everything. Think about the difference. When you say, I am experiencing anger, you create a separation. You are the person experiencing the event, not the event itself. Imagine you are the sky. The sky is vast, permanent, and untouched. Your emotions are just the weather passing through it. Sometimes there are dark storm clouds of rage. Sometimes there is a fog of anxiety. Sometimes there is a hurricane of grief. But the sky is never the storm. The sky holds the storm, watches it pass, and remains the sky. You have been trying to fight the weather. You have been screaming at the clouds. Emotional detachment is simply realizing you are the sky. You don't have to grab the thunder. You just let it roll through. This brings us to the most powerful tool in your arsenal. It is called the 10-second gap. There is a famous concept in psychology that says between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Most people have zero space. Stimulus happens, they react. Trigger happens, they explode. Someone is rude, they snap back. They are NPCs, non-player characters, running a script. They have no free will because they are running on autopilot. To get your freedom back, you need to hack that gap. You need to widen the space between what happens to you and what you do about it. Here is how you do it. The next time you feel that surge of heat, that urge to defend yourself, or that pit in your stomach, you do absolutely nothing. You freeze. You shut your mouth. You put your phone down, and you count to 10. Why 10 seconds? Because the chemical surge of a hijack lasts about that long before the rational part of your brain can kick back in. During those 10 seconds, you are going to ask yourself 3 questions. First, what am I feeling right now? Label it. Name it to tame it. Second, ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Is this actually about what just happened? Or is this touching an old wound from the past? And third, ask yourself, is this fact or is this a story? Let's break down that last one because it is critical. Most of your suffering comes from stories, not facts. Fact, your partner didn't text you back for 4 hours. That is the only thing that actually happened. Story, they are losing interest, they are cheating, I am not good enough, I am going to die alone. You see the difference? The fact is neutral. The story is what kills you. The story is what makes you send that desperate, clingy double text that pushes them away. When you pause for 10 seconds, you have time to separate the data from the drama. You can look at the fact and say, okay, they haven't texted. I don't know why. Maybe they are busy. Maybe their phone died. I will wait and see. That is power. That is control. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking that this sounds cold. You are thinking that if you detach, you turn into a robot who doesn't care about anything. You are worried that you will become heartless. Let's debunk that myth right now. Emotional detachment is not the absence of emotion. It is not about becoming a stone wall. It is not about apathy. Apathy is when you don't care because you have given up. Detachment is when you care so much about your own peace that you refuse to let it be held hostage by things you cannot control. It is about caring about the right things. Think of a surgeon. A surgeon cares deeply about saving the patient's life. But if the surgeon falls apart crying every time they make an incision, or if they panic when they see blood, the patient dies. To be effective, the surgeon must be clinically detached. They must keep a cool head and a steady hand precisely because they care about the outcome. That is what you are doing with your life. You are becoming the surgeon of your own existence. You are caring deeply about your goals, your values, and the people who actually treat you well. But you are surgically removing your emotional investment from the noise. You are refusing to care about the rude comment from a stranger on the internet. You are refusing to care about the validation of people who don't even like themselves. This is actually the foundation of genuine relationships. Think about it. When you are emotionally attached and needy, you aren't really loving the other person. You are using them. You are using them as a drug to make you feel worthy. You are terrified of them leaving, so you become possessive and jealous. That is not love, that is fear. When you detach, you stop needing them to be a certain way for you to be okay. You can love them for who they are, not for what they do for you. You can give them space. You can allow them to have bad days without taking it personally. You can connect with them from a place of strength rather than a place of desperation. This shift takes practice. You have spent your whole life practicing the opposite. You have practiced reacting. You have practiced taking things personally. You have practiced jumping to the worst-case scenario. Your neural pathways for drama are like superhighways. The neural pathways for detachment are like dirt roads overgrown with weeds. You have to walk them every single day to clear the path. It is going to feel uncomfortable at first. Your ego is going to scream at you. It is going to say, hey, we need to defend ourselves. We need to worry about this. If we don't worry, bad things will happen. You have to talk to your brain like you are training a puppy. You have to say, I see you are scared, but we are going to wait 10 seconds. We are going to breathe. We are going to look at the facts. The most dangerous part of your old pattern is that it is addictive. Every time you get involved in drama, every time you get a hit of validation, your brain releases dopamine. It is the same chemical involved in drug addiction. You might be addicted to the cycle of highs and lows. Detachment feels boring at first because it is stable. Peace is quiet. Drama is loud. You have to wean yourself off the cheap dopamine of emotional reactivity and start craving the deep satisfaction of self-control. Let's go back to that moment of the pause. The gap. This is where you become dangerous in the best way possible. Imagine someone is trying to provoke you. They know exactly what buttons to push. They say that thing about your job or your appearance that always sets you off. They are waiting for the explosion. They are waiting for you to hand over your power. And instead, you just look at them. You take a breath. You notice the anger rising in your chest. But you don't become the anger. You just observe it. And then you respond calmly, or maybe you don't respond at all. You have just broken the matrix. You have just proven that you are the master of your internal world. The look on their face will be priceless because they realize their remote control for your emotions has stopped working. This is about understanding the difference between your business, their business, and God's business. Your business is your thoughts, your actions, and your character. Their business is what they think of you, how they act, and whether they text you back. God's business, or the universe's business, is the weather, the traffic, and the economy. You suffer because you are constantly over in their business or God's business. You are trying to control how they feel. You are trying to control the future. Detachment is the discipline of staying in your own lane. It is realizing that you can influence others, but you can never control them. And the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you get all that energy back to use on yourself. Remember the metaphor of the sky. The weather is going to change. Some days you will feel sad. That is okay. Detachment doesn't mean you suppress the sadness. It means you say, I am experiencing sadness today. Interesting. I wonder what this is teaching me. And you let it rain without drowning. You don't judge yourself for feeling it. You don't spiral into a story that you will be sad forever. You just let the weather pass. So here is your mission for the next 24 hours. You are going to play the role of the observer. You are going to catch yourself every time you say, I am anxious, and correct it to I am experiencing anxiety. You are going to hunt for the gap. Every time something triggers you, you are going to find those 10 seconds. You are going to refuse to be an NPC. You are going to take the controller back. Because right now, your freedom is hiding in that pause. Your power is waiting for you in the gap between the trigger and the action. This is how you shift from being a puppet to being the master. This is how you stop reacting and start creating. And once you master this 10-second gap, nobody can ever pull your strings again. Here is the script for the section. The weapon, strategic indifference, the F budget. Listen to me carefully because this concept is the difference between being a slave to your emotions and being a master of your reality. We are going to talk about the most valuable currency you possess. It is not the money in your bank account, and it is not the time left on your clock. It is your care. Imagine for a second that you wake up every single morning with exactly 100 gold coins in your pocket. These coins represent your emotional energy, your attention, and your ability to give a damn. We will call this your F budget. Here is the catch. You do not get an overdraft. You do not get a credit card. Once those coins are spent, you are emotionally bankrupt for the rest of the day. Now look at how you are currently spending this fortune. You wake up and scroll through social media, seeing a stranger's controversial political opinion. Boom, that costs you 5 coins of irritation. You get in your car and someone cuts you off in traffic. You scream at the windshield. That is 10 coins of anger right there. You get to work and hear a rumor that Susan from accounting said something snarky about your presentation. You spiral into anxiety. That is a massive 30-coin purchase. By the time you get home to your actual goals, your side hustle, or your family, the things that actually matter, your pockets are empty. You have nothing left to give. You are exhausted not because you did hard work, but because you made bad investments. The most powerful people in the world have mastered the art of strategic indifference. This does not mean they are cold or heartless. It does not mean they are apathetic. It means they are financial geniuses with their emotional currency. They understand that caring about everything is a guaranteed way to care about nothing effectively. It is like trying to light up an entire city with a single flashlight battery. You just end up in the dark. Strategic indifference is about being a sniper with your energy rather than a machine gunner spraying bullets at everything that moves. To master this, you need to build what I call the hierarchy of caring. Picture a pyramid. At the very top, the tiny peak, are the things that directly impact your survival and your soul. This is your physical health, your immediate family, and your life's mission. These get the gold coins. These get the heavy investment. If your health fails, you panic. That is an appropriate use of the budget. But then we move down the pyramid to the bottom tier, the massive base where most of us live. This is the sewer of emotional waste. This includes random comments on the internet, the weather, traffic, celebrity gossip, and the opinions of people you would never ask for advice. This is where you must apply the F-budget cut. You have to look at these things and realize they are simply too expensive for your wallet. You cannot afford to care about what a stranger thinks of your shoes because you are saving up to buy your freedom. Let us get practical with this because theory does not change lives, action does. I want to teach you a drill that will bulletproof your mind against these leaks. It is called the so what exercise. This is how you stop the spiral before it drains your account. When something bad happens or when you feel that spike of anxiety because of someone else's behavior, you are going to ask the question, so what, 3 times. Here is how it looks in the real world. Let us say you post a video or pitch an idea at work and someone leaves a nasty comment or laughs at it. Your brain instantly screams that this is a threat. Your amygdala wants to spend 50 coins on a panic attack. Stop. Pause. Ask yourself, so what? Well, the answer is that they think I am stupid. Okay, so what? Well, if they think I am stupid, maybe other people will think I am stupid and I will feel embarrassed. So what? Well, I guess I will feel embarrassed for 10 minutes and then life will go on and I will still have my job and my health and my family. Suddenly, the threat vanishes. You realize there is no tiger in the bush. It was just a shadow. By asking so what 3 times, you drill down to the reality that most modern threats are smoke and mirrors. They cannot actually hurt you. When you realize the worst-case scenario is just an uncomfortable emotion that will pass, you stop paying the ransom. You keep your coins. This leads us to the final piece of the weapon, which is outcome independence. This is the mindset shift that separates the amateurs from the masters. Most of us attach our emotional state to the result. If I get the promotion, I am happy. If I get the date, I am worthy. If the video goes viral, I am successful. This is dangerous because you cannot control the result. You can influence it, sure, but you cannot command it. There are too many variables. When you attach your happiness to the outcome, you are gambling your emotional wealth on a game of roulette. Outcome independence means you commit 100% to the process, but you have zero attachment to the result. You focus entirely on the archer, not the target. You perfect your stance, your aim, your release. You put all your care coins into drawing the bow string back with precision. Once that arrow leaves your fingers, you stop caring. It is gone. The wind might take it. The target might move. That is not your business anymore. Your business was the shot. When you live like this, you become dangerous. You become unshakable. You can walk into a negotiation, a date, or a high-stakes meeting with a terrifying level of calm because you do not need anything from them. You are not a beggar for validation. You are a king of your own energy. You have stopped spending your fortune on things that do not yield a return. You have reclaimed your power from the traffic jams and the internet trolls and the passive-aggressive coworkers. Language detection * English. Cleaned text *. You have consolidated your resources for the only war that matters, the war for your own potential. Start today. Do an audit. Watch where your coins go. And the next time you feel your blood pressure rise over something that will not matter in 24 hours, zip up your wallet, look that situation in the eye, and realize you just cannot afford to buy it. Keep your coins. You have an empire to build. Here is the full script for the section Defense Arts, the Gray Rock Method and Energy Vampires. It is written in a conversational, high-energy, YouTube-style format, strictly adhering to your formatting and content ratio requirements. Section Defense Arts, the Gray Rock Method and Energy Vampires. You need to understand something right now. There are people in your life who are feeding on you. I am not talking about science fiction or horror movies. I am talking about biological, psychological reality. We call them energy vampires, and right now, they are likely the reason you feel drained, anxious, and stuck. You know exactly who I am talking about. It is that friend who is always in a crisis but never takes your advice. It is the coworker who turns every meeting into a therapy session about their life. It is the family member who knows exactly which button to push to make you explode in anger or dissolve into guilt. They are feeding on your reactions. They are addicted to your emotional energy the same way a junkie is addicted to a fix. And the hard truth is you are the supplier. But today we are cutting off the supply. We are going to teach you the defense arts. We are going to break down exactly how to spot these archetypes, how to become invisible to them using the gray rock method, and how to enforce the no jade rule so you never lose an argument again. This is about taking your power back. Let us start by identifying the enemy, and when I say enemy, I mean the patterns of behavior that are stealing your life force. In the source material we have been studying, we identified a few specific types of people who test your emotional detachment. First, you have the professional victim. This person is always in crisis. The world is always against them. They call you, they text you, they dump their chaotic emotional load onto you. But here is the catch. They do not want a solution. If you offer them a solution, they will find a reason why it will not work. They want your pity. They want your attention. They want you to validate their helplessness. Then you have the drama queen or king. These people create chaos because peace bores them. They will manufacture a conflict out of thin air just to feel the rush of adrenaline and to drag you into the mud with them. And of course, you have the narcissist. The narcissist views you not as a person, but as an appliance. To them, you exist solely to reflect their greatness or to serve their needs. If you stop serving that function, they will either attack you or discard you. The psychology here is simple but brutal. These difficult people are not acting this way because of you. They are acting this way because of them. Their behavior is a mechanism they developed to get their needs met. When a manipulator guilt trips you, it is because they learned that guilt is a currency that buys them compliance. When an aggressor yells at you, it is because they feel powerless and are trying to regain control through intimidation. Understanding this is your first layer of armor. When you realize that the vampire's behavior is about their own broken programming and emotional wounds, you stop taking it personally. You stop asking, why are they doing this to me? And you start seeing them like a glitching computer program. It is predictable. It is sad. But it is not your problem. Now that we see them, we need to talk about how to handle them. The most powerful tool in your arsenal is something called the gray rock method. This is not about fighting back. Fighting back gives them energy. If you scream at a narcissist, you lose. If you cry in front of a manipulator, you lose. Why? Because you gave them a reaction. You gave them emotional data. The gray rock method is the art of becoming so boring, so uninteresting, and so unresponsive that the toxic person loses interest in targeting you. You literally become as exciting as a gray rock in a driveway. Here is how you do it physically and verbally. When a toxic person tries to provoke you, you do not engage. You give short, neutral responses. If they send you a long, paragraph-style text message accusing you of being a terrible friend, you do not type out a defense. You reply with, "I see," or "okay." If they try to start a fight at dinner, you simply say, "That is an interesting opinion," and you keep eating. You do not share personal information. You do not tell them about your promotion, your new relationship, or your struggles, because anything you say can and will be used as ammunition later. You become a blank screen. Think about it like this. A toxic person is looking for a dopamine hit. They get that hit when they see you get angry, defensiveness, or sad. It makes them feel powerful. When you go gray rock, you are starving them of that dopamine. You are cutting off the fuel supply. At first, they will try harder. This is called an extinction burst. They will poke you, prod you, and maybe even accuse you of being cold or uncaring. They might say, "You have changed," or "You do not care about me anymore." Do not take the bait. That resistance is actually proof that what you are doing is working. They are panicking because their control panel is not working anymore. Eventually, like a predator realizing there is no meat on the bone, they will move on to an easier target. This leads us directly to the next tactical rule, which is non-negotiable if you want to maintain unshakable control. It is called the no jade rule. Jade stands for justify, argue, defend, explain. English, you must never do these 4 things when dealing with an energy vampire or a boundary violator. Here is the trap we all fall into. We think that if we just explain our side clearly enough, the other person will understand. We think that if we justify our decision, they will respect it. We think that if we defend our character, they will stop attacking us. This is a lie. When you are dealing with a difficult person, your explanation is not an olive branch. It is a weapon they will use against you. Let's play this out. You set a boundary. You say, "I can't come to your party this weekend." The vampire says, "Why not? You never come out anymore. Are you mad at me?" The old you would start JING. You would say, "No, I'm not mad. I just have this project at work, and I'm really tired, and I promised my mom I'd call her." You are justifying and explaining. What the vampire hears is not a reason. They hear an opening for negotiation. They will say, "Oh, so work is more important than me?" Or, "You can call your mom anytime." Now you are trapped in an argument you cannot win. The no jade rule flips the script. You state your boundary and you stop talking. "I can't come to the party." "Why not?" "Because I'm not available." That is it. You do not need to offer an excuse. You do not need to apologize for protecting your energy. As the source text explicitly states, the moment you start justifying your choices or defending your boundaries, you have already lost. Manipulators are experts at twisting your words. When you refuse to explain, you give them nothing to grab onto. It feels uncomfortable at first because we are conditioned to be nice and accommodating. But remember, allowing someone to drain you is not kindness. It is self-betrayal. A simple "no, that doesn't work for me" is a complete sentence. But what happens when you set these boundaries and people don't like it? What happens when they reject you? This brings us to the final piece of your emotional armor, which is reframing rejection. Most of us are terrified of rejection. It triggers a primal fear in our brain, the amygdala, which screams that if we are rejected by the tribe, we will die in the wilderness. But you are not in the wilderness. You are in the modern world. The most successful, emotionally detached people view rejection very differently. They understand that rejection is never about their value as a human being. You need to shift your mindset from "I am not good enough" to "we are not compatible." That is it. Rejection is just a mismatch of data. If someone rejects you, it means you didn't fit what they were looking for, or perhaps more likely, they didn't fit what you need, and the universe is doing you a favor by removing them from your path. The source text calls this rejection is just redirection. When a job rejects you, it's redirection toward a role that fits you better. When a partner rejects you, it's redirection toward someone who can actually meet your needs. When you stop taking rejection personally, you become dangerous. I mean that in the best way. You become unstoppable because you are no longer afraid of hearing the word no. You can take risks. You can speak your truth. You can gray rock a toxic family member without fear of them cutting you off, because you know that your worth is internal, not external. You validate yourself. If someone walks away because you finally set a boundary, let them walk. In fact, hold the door open for them. That is not a loss. That is the trash taking itself out. We need to talk about the energy cost of not doing this. Energy is your currency. It is more valuable than money. You wouldn't walk down the street handing out $100 bills to everyone who asked, right? Yet you walk through life handing out your emotional energy to people who do nothing but shred it. You need to conduct an energy audit. Look at your text messages. Look at your calendar. Who leaves you feeling drained? Who leaves you feeling angry? Those are the leaks in your boat. You cannot sail to your destination if you are constantly bailing out water. Applying the gray rock method and the no jade rule is essentially plugging those leaks. It is about energy conservation. When you stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you, you save massive amounts of energy. When you stop trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed, you reclaim that power for your own goals. You need to cultivate what we call strategic indifference. This doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It means you choose very carefully what you care about. You care about your goals. You care about the people who treat you with respect. You care about your health. You do not care about the opinion of a narcissist. You do not care about the tantrums of a drama queen. This transition won't be easy. Your ego will fight you. Your ego wants to have the last word. Your ego wants to prove the manipulator wrong. But you need to understand that in the game of emotional warfare, the only winning move is not to play. When you try to win an argument with a toxic person, you are wrestling a pig in the mud. You both get dirty, but the pig likes it. Stop wrestling. Stand up, dust yourself off, and walk away. Let's go deeper into the mechanics of the gray rock method because people often get this wrong. They think it means being rude. It is not being rude. It is being bland. If you are rude, that is a reaction. That is heat. Vampires like heat. You want to be lukewarm. If a coworker is trying to gossip to you to stir up drama, the rude response is, "Shut up, I don't care." The gray rock response is, "Oh wow. Anyway, I have to get back to this spreadsheet." You pivot immediately to the mundane. You become an NPC, a non-player character in their video game. They are the main character in their own mind, looking for a supporting cast to participate in their drama. Do not audition for the role. And regarding the no jade rule, you need to practice this in low-stakes situations first. If the barista gets your order wrong, you do not need a 10-minute explanation of why you needed oat milk. You just politely ask for the fix. If a telemarketer calls you, you do not need to explain why you do not want the product. You just hang up. Build this muscle of acting without over-explaining. It signals confidence. It signals that you are the authority in your own life. High-value people do not constantly explain themselves. They move through the world with intent. There is a concept called selective vulnerability that pairs with this. Emotional detachment does not mean you never open up. It means you only open up to people who have earned the right to see your inner world. The energy vampire has not earned that right. The narcissist has definitely not earned that right. When you share your fears or dreams with them, you are handing them a blueprint of how to hurt you. Stop doing that. Keep your cards close to your vest. Share your heart with the people who have proven they can hold it gently. For everyone else, they get the gray rock. You might be thinking, but is not this cold? Is not this mean? Let me ask you a question. Is it mean to lock your front door at night? No. You lock your door to protect the valuable things inside your house. Your mind, your peace, and your emotional stability are infinitely more valuable than a flat-screen TV. The gray rock method and boundaries are just the locks on your mental doors. You are not locking people out to punish them. You are locking your peace in to protect it. As you start applying these defense arts, you are going to notice a shift. The chaotic people in your life will naturally start to fall away. They will get bored. They will say you are no fun anymore. Good. Let them go. You are making space. You are clearing out the weeds so that something healthy can actually grow. You will find that you have more energy for your passions, your real friends, and your own growth. You will stop waking up feeling heavy with other people's problems. Remember, you cannot change other people. This is the hardest pill to swallow. You think if you love them enough, explain enough, or endure enough, they will change. They will not. People only change when they decide to change. Your job is not to fix the vampire. Your job is to vampire-proof your life. Your job is to protect yourself, maintain your boundaries, and refuse to be drawn into their dysfunction. So here is your mission. Identify one person or situation in your life right now that is draining you. Just one. Next time you interact with them, activate the gray rock protocol. Be boring. Be brief. Be neutral. Watch what happens. Watch them try to provoke you. Watch them spin their wheels. And feel the incredible power of doing absolutely nothing. Feel the freedom of not reacting. Then, if they demand to know why you are acting this way, remember the no jade rule. Do not explain. Just continue to be. This is how you become unshakable. This is how you build emotional armor. It is not about having no emotions. It is about being the master of your emotions. It is about deciding who gets access to your energy and who gets a dial tone. Rejection is just redirection. Silence is a complete answer. And you are no longer available to be food for anyone else's ego. You are taking your strings back. You are in control now. You are about to undergo a complete system reboot of your social and emotional life. We call this the upgrade. This isn't just about feeling better. It is about lifestyle design and fundamental self-worth. Right now, you are leaking power. You are bleeding energy all over people and situations that do not deserve a single volt of your electricity. You are treating your energy like it is infinite, handing it out to anyone who asks, anyone who complains, or anyone who simply walks into the room. But your energy is not infinite. It is your currency. It is the fuel you need to build your empire, your body, and your legacy. When you are emotionally drained, you can't execute. You can't think clearly. You become reactive instead of proactive. You become a puppet. So we are going to fix that right now. We are going to start with a concept that will change how you view every interaction in your life. It is called the high-value energy audit. You wouldn't run a business without looking at the bank statements, yet most of you are running your lives without ever checking your energetic balance. You are operating in the red, constantly overdrafting your emotional reserves, and wondering why you feel bankrupt by 2 p.m. The source of your exhaustion isn't always the work you are doing. It is the emotional tax you are paying to people and patterns that are robbing you blind. Here is the protocol. For the next 3 days, you are going to track your mood with the precision of a scientist. This is the energy audit. You don't need a fancy app for this. You just need the Notes app on your phone. For 72 hours, every time you finish an interaction with a person or finish an activity, you are going to record one thing. Did this charge me? Or did this drain me? It is binary. There is no middle ground. That friend who calls you to complain about the same relationship problems they have had for 3 years, but never takes your advice? Drain. That group chat that is constantly blowing up with drama and negativity? Drain. That hour you spent doom scrolling through the timeline comparing your life to strangers? Drain. But then look for the chargers. That workout where you pushed past your limit? Charge. That conversation with the mentor who challenges you to be better? Charge. Working on that side hustle or passion project? Charge. After 3 days, you will have a list. And here is where the brutal, necessary work begins. You have to look at the drain column and you have to get ruthless. This is where most people fail because they feel guilty. They think they owe people their time. Let me be crystal clear. You do not owe anyone your energy. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken people who refuse to fix themselves. You are not a dumping ground for other people's trauma. The source material calls these people energy vampires, and that is exactly what they are. They suck the life out of you to fill their own void. You know exactly who they are. They are the ones who are always in crisis. They are the ones who make you feel heavy just by seeing their name pop up on your phone. You need to cut them. And I don't mean you have to cause a scene or write a dramatic breakup text. You utilize strategic indifference. You become unavailable. You stop feeding the beast. If you can't cut them out completely because they are family or coworkers, you limit the exposure. You put up a boundary that says, I have 5 minutes and then I have to go. You treat your energy like the limited, high-value asset it is. Once you stop the bleeding, you have to change the source of your power. This is the shift from external validation to internal validation. Right now, imagine you are holding a remote control. This remote control determines your self-esteem, your happiness, and your mood. Most people walk through life handing this remote control to everyone they meet. You hand it to your boss. If they smile, you feel good. If they frown, you panic. You hand it to your partner. You hand it to random strangers on the internet. You post a photo and then you sit there, refreshing the page, waiting for the likes to tell you that you matter. Do you realize how dangerous that is? You are giving other people the power to dictate your internal state. You are letting their confused, conditioned, and often messy psychology determine your worth. That ends today. You need to take the remote control back. You need to be the only person who has the batteries to that remote. This is what we call building an internal reference point. It means you know you are valuable simply because you exist and because you are doing the work. It means you don't need a round of applause to know you crushed that presentation. You know you crushed it because you prepared, you executed, and you have your own standard of excellence. This shift changes everything. When you validate yourself, criticism stops being a death sentence and starts being just data. If someone rejects you, it doesn't mean you are broken. It just means you are incompatible. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their preference. The source text puts it perfectly. Your worth does not change based on whether someone likes you. You are the same person whether they applaud you or boo you. Their opinion is about them. It is about their lens, their day, their trauma. It is not about you. When you truly get this, you become unshakable. You become dangerous in the best way possible because you cannot be manipulated. You cannot be controlled by the fear of disapproval because you no longer need their approval to breathe. Now, let's talk about your heart, because emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming a robot. It doesn't mean you turn cold. It means you become selective. We call this selective vulnerability. There is a toxic idea floating around the internet that you should be vulnerable with everyone, that you should wear your heart on your sleeve. That is terrible advice. If you go into battle without armor, you are going to get slaughtered. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your dreams, your fears, or your struggles. Think about it like this. Stop bleeding on people who do not have the capacity to bandage you. When you share your deepest insecurities with someone who is emotionally immature, or someone who is insecure themselves, they won't support you. They will use that information against you. They will weaponize your vulnerability. Or they will just look at you with a blank stare because they are too wrapped up in their own narcissism to care. And then you feel rejected. You feel stupid for opening up. That is on you. You have to vet the people you let into your inner circle. You need to build emotional armor. This isn't a wall that keeps everyone out. It is a filter that only lets the right people in. The people who have proven they are safe. The people who have proven they are loyal. Everyone else? They get the public version of you. They get the polite, professional, detached version of you. They do not get the VIP access to your soul. This is how you protect your peace. You save your vulnerability for the people who treat it with respect. This makes your relationships richer because you aren't casting your pearls before swine. You are sharing your authentic self only with those who value it. This leads us to the ultimate mindset flip. This is the mantra you need to tattoo on your brain. I don't need them to like me. I need to like me. Say that again. I don't need them to like me. I need to like me. Most of your anxiety comes from trying to mind read and manipulate other people's perceptions of you. You are constantly shape-shifting, twisting yourself into a pretzel, trying to be the person you think they want you to be. It is exhausting. It is the definition of high-effort, low-reward living. And the irony is, it makes people respect you less. People can smell the desperation. They can smell the people-pleasing. When you flip the script, when you focus on liking yourself, everything changes. You start making decisions based on your values, not their reactions. You start dressing the way you want. You start speaking your truth. You start saying no when you want to say no. And here is the magic trick. When you stop trying so hard to be liked, you become infinitely more attractive. You become magnetic. Because there is nothing more rare and powerful in this world than a person who is comfortable in their own skin. A person who owns their flaws, owns their strengths, and doesn't apologize for taking up space. This is the essence of the upgrade. It is about moving from a scarcity mindset where you are begging for scraps of attention to an abundance mindset where you generate your own light. You stop looking for a charger because you become the generator. You stop looking for a savior because you become your own hero. Let's go back to that energy audit for a second. When you cut those drainers, you are going to feel a void. You might feel lonely for a minute. That is normal. Your ego is going to scream. Your ego loves the drama. Your ego loves the familiarity of the dysfunction. But you have to hold the line. You have to fill that space with high-value inputs. Use that reclaimed energy to build your body. Use it to learn a skill. Use it to meditate. Use it to sleep. Do you know how many of you are just sleep-deprived and calling it depression? Reclaim your biology. And realize this. The people you are terrified of losing, the ones you are clinging to, most of them don't even know you. They know the mask you wear. They know the role you play for them. By detaching, by dropping the act, you give yourself the chance to be seen for who you actually are. And yes, some people will leave. Let them. Open the door for them. If your authenticity threatens them, they were never with you. They were with the idea of you that made them comfortable. Losing them is not a loss. It is a gain. It is the trash taking itself out. This path requires courage. It requires you to be willing to be disliked. It requires you to be willing to be misunderstood. but the reward is total freedom. Imagine waking up and not checking your phone for validation. Imagine walking into a room and not scanning for approval. Imagine hearing a rude comment and feeling absolutely nothing because you know it has nothing to do with you. That is the destination. That is the upgrade. You are going to treat your energy like the millions of dollars it is worth. You are going to conduct that audit. You are going to look at that list of drainers and you are going to make the cuts. You are going to take back the remote control. You are going to stop bleeding on people who can't help you. And you are going to look in the mirror and realize that the only validation that matters is staring right back at you. This is not about becoming better than other people. It is about becoming the best version of yourself for yourself. It is about self-respect. And self-respect is contagious. When you respect your own energy, other people will start respecting it too. The boundaries you set teach people how to treat you. If you allow them to drain you, they will drain you until you are dry. If you show them that your energy is reserved for high-value exchanges, they will either step up or step out. Either way, you win. So, start the audit today. Not tomorrow. Today. Track the mood. Identify the leaks. Plug the holes. This is your life. It is happening right now. Don't spend it as a background character in someone else's movie. Take the lead role. Cut the strings. Detach from the noise. And watch how fast your reality transforms when you finally take the controls. You have the power. You always did. You just forgot you were holding the remote. Now press play on the life you actually want. Alright, listen close because we are done with the theory and we are moving straight into the trenches. We have spent enough time talking about why you are emotionally attached and how your childhood conditioning set you up to be a people pleaser, but understanding the trap doesn't get you out of it. Action does. You can read every psychology book on the shelf and listen to every podcast about boundaries. But until you actually look someone in the eye who is trying to manipulate you and you refuse to flinch, nothing changes. So we are going to gamify this. We are going to take all these heavy, complex psychological concepts about the amygdala and dopamine loops and we are turning them into a concrete 7-day protocol. This is the Unbothered Challenge. It is designed to rewire your neural pathways from reactive to responsive. It is going to feel uncomfortable. Your ego is going to scream. You are going to feel a phantom limb syndrome where you desperately want to explain yourself or check your phone or fix someone's mood, but you are going to hold the line. By the end of this week, you won't just understand detachment, you will feel the power of it in your bones. Your first 48 hours, days 1 and 2, are dedicated to what I call the no-react drill. This is the hardest part because we are attacking your baseline instinct to defend yourself. The source material tells us that when you get triggered, your amygdala thinks you are being chased by a bear. It demands a reaction to survive. In modern life, that reaction usually looks like explaining, defending, or snapping back. For the next 2 days, you are going completely cold turkey on defense. Here is the scenario. Someone is going to provoke you. It might be your boss making that passive-aggressive comment about your time management. It might be your partner sighing loudly in the kitchen, baiting you to ask what's wrong. It might be a rude barista. Your old programming says you need to jump in and fix it or fight back. For 48 hours, your only job is to do absolutely nothing. When the provocation hits, you are going to force a small, polite smile, hold eye contact for exactly 2 seconds longer than is comfortable, and stay completely silent. You have to understand the physics of what happens here. The source material explains that most difficult behavior is an attempt to get attention or control. It's an energy transfer. They throw a hook, expecting you to bite. When you bite, you complete the circuit and give them your power. When you smile and say nothing, you break the circuit. You are using the gray rock method mentioned in the psychological breakdown, where you become as uninteresting as a rock. You will feel a burning sensation in your chest. That is your cortisol spiking. That is your inner child screaming that if you don't explain yourself, you will be rejected. Let it burn. Observe it. This is you building the emotional armor we talked about. You are proving to your brain that the world does not end just because you didn't defend yourself. You are teaching people that their urgency is not your emergency. You are watching the manipulator crumble because you denied them the emotional fuel they run on. Once you have survived the silence, days 3 and 4 are about breaking the chemical addiction. We are going into the digital detox, But this isn't the standard put your phone away advice. This is specific to validation seeking. The source material highlights that you have been conditioned to look for external validation to feel worthy. Social media is the slot machine for this addiction. You post, you wait, you get a like, you get a hit of dopamine. For these 2 days, you are going into ghost mode. You are strictly forbidden from checking your analytics, your view counts, or your likes. But more importantly, you are forbidden from phishing. You know exactly what I mean. No posting a selfie with a vague caption hoping someone tells you look hot. No posting a cryptic sad song on your story hoping your crush asks you if you're okay. That is emotional begging. It is weakness disguised as content. During these 48 hours, you will feel invisible. You will feel that itch to prove you exist by getting a reaction from the digital void. This is the withdrawal symptom of your codependency. You need to sit with the silence. You need to realize that your worth exists even if nobody is double tapping it. As the text says, you need to move from external validation to internal validation. When you take a great picture or have a funny thought, keep it for yourself. Laugh at it, enjoy it, and then let it go. By not sharing it, you are reclaiming the energy you usually leak out into the internet. You are plugging the energy leaks. You will realize how much mental real estate you have been renting out to strangers, worrying about their opinions on your life. When you stop fishing for compliments, you stop being a hook that anyone can pull. You become solid. Now that you are silent and you are off the dopamine drip, days 5 and 6 are where we go on the offensive. This is the no tour. The source text makes a critical distinction about energy management. It says energy is like money, and you wouldn't just hand your wallet to a stranger, yet you hand your energy out to anyone who asks. For 2 days, you are going to say no to 3 specific requests, and here is the kicker: you are not allowed to offer an excuse. This is where most people fail. They say no, but then they pay the excuse tax. They say, I can't come to your party because my cat is sick and I have work and I'm tired. They offer a paragraph of justification to soften the blow because they are terrified of being disliked. For the no tour, you are stripping that away. You are going to look someone in the face or look at that text message, and you are going to say, no, I can't make it. Or no, that doesn't work for me. And then you are going to put a period at the end of that sentence and you are going to stop typing. You are going to stop talking. The silence that follows that period is going to feel heavy. You will want to fill it with a lie or a softening agent. Do not do it. The source material tells us that boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for how to treat you. When you over-explain your no, you are telling the other person that your boundary is up for negotiation. You are signaling that you feel guilty for having needs. By offering zero excuse, you are signaling absolute security. You are practicing the mindset shift from needing to be liked to being willing to be disliked. You will likely find that people respect the raw no far more than the wishy-washy excuse. And if they get mad, that is their business, not yours. You are staying in your business. Finally, day 7. You have held your tongue, you have starved your ego, and you have defended your time. Now you have to learn to live with the person you have protected. Day 7 is the solo date. This comes directly from the concept of building a strong internal foundation. The text argues that you cannot be emotionally detached if you are terrified of your own company. If you can't sit alone with your thoughts, you will always run back to toxic people to distract you. So, on day 7, you are going to do something purely for yourself. You are going to a movie, a nice dinner, a hike, or a museum. You are going alone. And here is the strict rule: you cannot document it. If you go to a fancy dinner alone and take a picture of your food to post on Instagram with the caption "solo date vibes," you have failed the challenge. You are still performing. You are still bringing an audience into your intimacy. This date is for you and you alone. You need to experience the impermanence of the moment without trying to capture it. You need to feel the awkwardness of sitting alone in a crowd and realize that nobody is looking at you. And even if they are, it doesn't matter. This is about developing that internal reference point for self-worth. You are teaching yourself that you are worth the effort, time, and money, even if there is no audience to witness it. You are becoming your own source of validation. This 7-day protocol is not just a to-do list. It is an exorcism of your old, weak self. It is a systematic dismantling of the people-pleasing architecture you have built your life around. When you force a smile instead of snapping back, you kill the reactive victim. When you don't post for validation, you kill the needy child. When you say no without an excuse, you kill the fearful subordinate. And when you enjoy your own company in silence, you birth the sovereign adult. This is how you build the emotional armor the source material talks about. It isn't built by thinking about it. It is built by walking through the fire of social discomfort and realizing you don't burn. Understand that during this week, people will test you. The source text warns us about this. When you change the script, the other actors in your life get confused. They might get angry. They might accuse you of being cold or different. They might try to ramp up their manipulation tactics because the old buttons aren't working. This is called an extinction burst. It's a good sign. It means the detachment is working. You are disrupting the system. You are no longer playing the role of the emotional sponge, absorbing everyone else's anxiety and anger. You are returning that energy to sender. By the end of day 7, you will feel a shift. It might be subtle or it might be massive. You will realize that the world didn't fall apart because you said no. You will realize that you didn't die because you didn't get a like on a photo. You will realize that the power others held over you was an illusion that you participated in. You gave them the strings, and this week you cut them. You are starting to master the art of strategic indifference. You are learning that you have a finite amount of cares to give, and you are no longer giving them away for free. You are investing them only in what serves your highest good. This is the beginning of the transformed life. Keep going. Here is the full script for the section The Payoff, Becoming Anti-Fragile. It is written to be high energy, emotionally resonant, and formatted strictly for speech without any scene directions or formatting symbols. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing that the heavy weight you have been carrying in your chest for years is suddenly gone. You pick up your phone and see a text that would have normally ruined your entire week. Maybe a passive-aggressive message from a family member or a crisis update from your boss. In the past, your heart would have started racing and your palms would have sweat, and you would have spent the next 3 hours rehearsing arguments in the shower. But today is different. You look at the message and you feel absolutely nothing but a calm clarity. You put the phone down, make your coffee, and enjoy the silence. You realize that the invisible strings that used to jerk you around like a puppet have been cut. This is not a fantasy, and this is not about becoming a robot. This is the reality of the transformed self. This is what we call the payoff. When you finally master emotional detachment, you do not become cold or distant. You actually become the most powerful person in the room because you are the only one not reacting to the noise. Think about the last time you were in a chaotic situation. Maybe it was a family dinner that turned into a shouting match, or a meeting at work where everyone was panicking about a deadline. In that moment, everyone else was vibrating with anxiety, feeding off each other's stress, and making desperate decisions based on fear. Now picture the new you in that same room. You are the eye of the storm. You are witnessing the chaos, you understand it, but you are not absorbing it. You have built what we call emotional armor, but it is not a wall that keeps people out. It is a filter that lets you choose what gets in. This state of being is what we call becoming anti-fragile. Most people are fragile. Like a glass vase, if you drop them or apply too much pressure, they shatter. They need the world to be soft and gentle for them to feel okay. Then you have resilient people who are like a rubber ball. They get squeezed and they bounce back to where they were. That is good, but we are aiming for something better. We are aiming for anti-fragile. This is like a muscle. The more stress and pressure you put on a muscle, the stronger it grows. When you live a detached life, every difficult person you meet becomes a rep for your emotional gym. Every crisis becomes an opportunity to test your stability. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what can I learn from this? You stop wishing for an easier life and you start enjoying the fact that you have become too strong for a difficult life to break you. Let's talk about how this transformation changes the texture of your daily reality. You stop taking things personally because you finally understand the golden rule of detachment, which is that other people's behavior is about them, not you. When someone cuts you off in traffic or leaves a nasty comment on your post, you don't feel anger. You feel curiosity. You realize they are fighting their own ghosts and you are just an extra in their movie. This shift releases you from the exhausting job of trying to manage everyone else's emotions. You realize you are not the manager of the universe. You are only the manager of your own internal state. This newfound energy transforms your relationships. It sounds like a paradox, but when you stop needing people, you can finally start loving them. Most relationships are built on a foundation of desperate neediness where two people are just using each other to patch up their own insecurities. But when you are emotionally sovereign, you don't need your partner to complete you because you are already whole. You don't need your friends to validate you because you validate yourself. This makes you magnetic. People are drawn to you because you are not trying to take anything from them. You are present. You are listening. You are actually there with them instead of worrying about what they think of you. You become a safe harbor in a world of reactive, anxious people. And let's look at your career. The professional detachment we talked about earlier turns you into a weapon of mass effectiveness. While your colleagues are wasting hours gossiping, worrying about office politics, or crying over feedback, you are executing. You can take massive risks because your identity isn't tied to the outcome. If a project fails, it's just data. It's just feedback. You don't spiral into an identity crisis. You just pivot and move forward. This outcome independence allows you to play the game of life at a higher level because you are not terrified of losing. You are playing to win, not playing not to lose. But the deepest shift happens in your quiet moments. It is the end of the internal war. You know that voice in your head that is constantly analyzing the past and worrying about the future. That voice starts to get quieter. You stop replaying old arguments. You stop pre-living future disasters that haven't happened yet. You find yourself actually living in the present moment, tasting your food, hearing the music, seeing the colors of the sunset. You realize that for years you were sleepwalking through life, trapped in a nightmare of emotional reactivity. Now you are finally awake. This is the transformed life. It is not about never feeling sadness or anger. You will still feel those things because you are human, but you will feel them like a wave passing through the ocean. You acknowledge the wave, you let it wash over you, but you don't drown in it. You remain the ocean, deep, vast, and unshakable. You have moved from being a victim of your circumstances to being the architect of your experience. You have accepted radical responsibility. You know that no one can make you feel anything without your permission, and you have stopped giving that permission away to people who don't deserve it. So here is the final loop. Look around you. The world hasn't changed. The traffic is still bad. Your boss is still demanding. Your family is still complicated. The world didn't change, but you did. And that changes everything. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You have reclaimed your energy. You have taken back the remote control to your own brain. You have cut the strings. If you are tired of dancing to someone else's tune and you are ready to claim this level of freedom for yourself, I want you to make a commitment right now. This isn't just a video you watched. This is the first day of your new life. If you are ready to cut the strings, comment the word freedom below. Do it as a promise to your future self that you are done being a puppet. Remember this as you go back out into the noise of the world. True strength is not about how loud you can yell or how much you can control the people around you. That is weakness disguised as strength. Real power is quiet. Real power is standing in the middle of a hurricane and not being moved. Power is not controlling others. Power is controlling yourself.